Hi, my name is Karina and welcome to the Karina Chronicles. Today I'm not going to stay behind and I am doing the mid-year freak out book tag and telling you all about what I've read already, what was a disappointment and mostly what was not a disappointment. So keep watching. I have never done this tag before because my channel started in September and I'm really excited because this is usually the video that everyone on BookTube seems to make. And I also really like to watch them. It's just like at the end of the year you look at the statistics and halfway through you can see if you're doing alright. So yeah, I like that and I want to tell you all about it. So first I wanted to take a look at my Goodreads challenge. If you know me a little bit and you've watched the videos where I talk about my Goodreads challenges, I always put my goal of the number of books that I want to read on 50. But I am cheating a little bit because if I don't finish the 50 books, I still want a nice list of 50 books every year because that makes it just really structural and I really like that. So if I don't get to 50, the first books I read in the next year I put on the last year so that there are 50 there. So last year I've read 51 books, but a lot of them went to 2020. So that means that in my Goodreads challenge of 2021 I've only read 38 books, so 12 short. And that means that the first 12 books I read in 2022, I put on the year 2021. So that means that my Goodreads goal is now on 50 books and I've only read 10. But if you can count the books that I did read this year but put on last year, oh, this is so confusing. I've read 22 in total, which is almost half of the books and I'm always halfway through the year. So I'm doing alright actually, but if I want to finish like the goal on Goodreads, I need 40 more books in half a year, which is quite a lot. But we will see if I get to it. But 22 books is quite a nice score. I usually read a little bit more in summer, so that is also quite alright. And there are some more 24 hours reading challenges coming. So I hope I can fix the number and get to 50 eventually. So that is nice. So the first question of this tag is, which is your favorite book of the year up till now? And for me, that is Circe by Madeleine Miller. And that is really funny because in 2021 my favorite book was The Song of Achilles by Madeleine Miller. And it would be hilarious to me if her only other book at the moment is my favorite read of this year. I really loved it even more than The Song of Achilles, so I highly doubt if there's any book that's going to top this. But yeah, I just liked it because it has a lot of mythological references. Well, it is of course about the myths, the Greek myths, but it has a lot more background because Madeleine Miller talks about the things that you don't read in those myths. The characters that are in the books only side characters and not in the stories only side characters and not the main character. Which is why you never understand why they act certain ways. And Circe has become one of my new favorite people. So I'm so happy I've read this book and you need to be strong if you want to compete against this one. The next question is about your favorite sequel that you've read this year. And I think for me that is The Wastelands by Stephen King, which is the third part in the Dark Tower series. I already loved that series, but this part was one of the greatest books I've ever read. There was one scene that really disturbed me. But overall it was a solid 5-star rating and I really loved the book. And I don't really often have that when I read sequels. So yes, I need to continue that series and finish it because it's so good. So the next question is a book that was released this year that you still want to read. And there are a lot of those, but a book that came to mind is actually Galatea by Madeleine Miller, which is in many ways cheating because I think it came out in December 2021. And it's also a republishing because it's her oldest book, but it's a short story and it now came out as a physical copy, so you can complete your collection. And I got the book, but, well, didn't read it yet. So that's why I'm mentioning that one. And the next question is a book that still has to be released in the second half of the year that you really want to read. And I really want to read the new Taylor Jenkins Reid book, which is called something about Carrie or something. I don't remember, but I'm really bad with new releases because I never really read them. I'm also really looking forward to Wild as the Witch by Rachel Griffin because I just loved how she wrote books and I think she can become so much better. I just want to see if her next novel, her second novel, is a little bit better than the first one. I just see so much potential, but it didn't really fulfill my needs, the first book. So I really want to see the second book and see if it's any better. So yeah, I think those are high on my list. And definitely It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, which also comes out the second half of this year. So yes, need to read that. Then, about my biggest disappointment and my biggest surprise. The biggest disappointment was definitely Normal People by Sally Rooney. Well, it was a big disappointment. I wasn't really expecting to like it very much, but I really wanted to and I didn't. A lot of people liked it. Some people even say it's their favorite book of all time. So I really hoped it would be a new favorite author for me as well, but no, definitely not. I thought this book was very boring. So yeah, that's a disappointment to me. And one of the biggest surprises to me was My Mother's Eyes by Jeremy Ray, which is a short story. And this was sent to me by the author himself. And usually when that happens, the books are not very good because the authors couldn't really find a publisher, which is nothing shameful or anything. But that means that often those books are not edited and are not corrected and are not looked at very professionally. So when you get that book, then you're often struggling to get through it, I noticed. And this book was nothing like that. It was really good. So that really surprised me and I immediately asked for another book of his, which I got. So I'm going to read that soon. A book that I need to talk about because it's one of my new favorite authors is The Novice by Terran Mathari. This book I really liked. It was a 5-star prediction for me and I gave it 4 stars. So in that way you could say it was a disappointment, but it was still really good and I especially liked the writing. So I'm really looking forward to read all his books and see if it could become a favorite new author. Also one I brought was How to Stop Time by Matt Haig because this is definitely a new favorite author. Also a 4-star rating for me, which is weird because I also read some 5-star ratings, but those were not new authors to me. And this is a new author to me and I definitely need to read his other books. Then my new favorite character, or crush, I don't really have crushes on characters, but I really loved Cersei, I really did. So she's my new favorite character. A book that made me cry and a book that made me happy. I didn't really read a book that made me cry, although I think the Chronicles of Narnia could kind of count for that because it made me kind of cry. And also My Mother's Eyes was the saddest story that I've read in a while, but I didn't give it 5 stars because I actually didn't cry. So I don't think I really have a good book for that now. But a book that made me happy was the last book I read, and that was the Falling in Love montage by Kiara Smith. Because this is a very cute lesbian romance, and it's a romantic comedy in book form, and I really, really loved it. Yeah, so really happy that I've read that. Then the most beautiful book that I got, or from someone, or got for myself in the first half of the year, is definitely my copy of Watership Down by Richard Adams. It's like a cloth-bound classic from Penguins, but then it's not from Penguins, but from One World. And that is really pretty. I showed it in another reading vlog. I will link it on the screen, but I haven't read it yet, which I don't really feel that guilty about because I already read Watership Down and was not really in the mood for a reread. So, but I definitely will in the end. And then some books that I still need to finish before the end of the year. Well, just everything that's on my TBR at the moment. But the one that I really need to finish at the end of the year is The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, because I really like V.E. Schwab. And I got it as a gift from someone that was like, you need to read this now. So I can't believe I actually haven't read it yet. It's been like almost a year. No, almost 2 years. I mean, oh my, this is really ridiculous. So I need to have finished it at the end of the year. Same holds for Loveless by Alice Oseman. It's the favorite book of all time from my sister. And she was like, please read this for me. So I bought it and I haven't read it yet. So definitely need to finish that one. And also The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, because I got it as a travel book and you need to read it and then send it to the next person. And I've been dreading to read it because I've read it so often, which is not a good reason. I just need to read it and get it to the next person, because otherwise you shouldn't be part of this kind of book clubs. So I do have an excuse because the next person has still a big pile of books that she needs to get through. So mine would just be at the bottom of that. So I'm not really in a hurry, but I would like to finish that book soon. And those were actually already all the questions. I am quite content with how many books I've read this year, but not really with the rating, to be honest. I think if I look back on it, that I will see that it's alright and maybe average for what I'm reading normally, but it doesn't feel like that because a lot of books were a little lower than I expected them to be, and I read a lot of 3-star ratings, which is just, they're not bad, but they're not good either. And I rather have a big impact. So either I really hate the book or either I really like the book. But when I'm just mad about a book and I even forget what it's about sometimes, I feel like I really wasted my time. So I really hope that some books that I will read in the next half of 2022 are just more, I will have more strong opinions about. So let's hope for that. And that was actually it for this video. I really hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like. Leave down in the comments below how your first half of the year has been going. Do you have a new favorite or a new favorite author that I need to try out? And if you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. I hope you'll have a lovely day filled with books, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! Don't forget to submit your last books for the readathon. I know I haven't really updated you on it, but a lot of people submitted books and the story is just going to be great. It's not too late to participate. The form is in the description box and will be closed midnight on the 30th of June.